or trail, and I think it's just for clarity in the this of course discussion started last week in committee of council. The motion is in regard to planning for next year, and I believe if you read the management report, that's because an oval has already been started for this year. So maybe I'll ask for a motion or someone to make the motion, and then we can ask the manager to explain perhaps. So Councillor Duplessis will make the motion.
Thank you, Your Worship. I move that the Department of Community, Wellness and Recreation initiate the planning and design of a public skating trail excuse me, for 2023 capital budget discussions.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Summers. On the question, if you'd like to speak first, Councillor.
Yeah, I just asked the question that you framed already. Just a rundown. I noticed driving by, coming from the neighborhood of Chatham this evening, that a skating oval has been started in the kind of side parking lot of the LBA. So just curious how that's going and what, just hear from staff on that end of it. Director Walsh, perhaps?
Director Walsh or Manager Noel, whoever would like to take that one.
Yes, through the chair to Councillor Duplessis. So we have begun the construction of a skating oval, roughly, I believe it's around 220 meters in length, at the Lower Beaver Brook Arena. Process is going pretty good here right now. We do expect, if weather stays consistent here, we should possibly have up and running by the weekend. The path has been created. We've begun building ice. We may have some concerns with some mild temperatures that are coming that may cause some concerns. But if all goes well, we should have ice before the weekend as soon as we can.
Councillor Duplessis, still to you if there's any.
No follow-up. I appreciate the effort, and obviously it took some kind of initiative and hustle, so I appreciate it.
Deputy Mayor Quinn, to you, and then we'll get to you, Councillor.
Thank you, Your Worship. Excuse me, a question for Director Walsh. Jason with the Oval, happy to see that. Is this an evening thing too? Will it be lit in the evening, or is there some to be worked out?
We have, through the chair to Councillor Quinn, we have identified by being at the facility that the lights adjacent to the, to the outside of the Lower Beaver Brook Arena have been adapted to be able to shine into the space. So we plan on operating the facility from noontime to about 9 p.m. There should be significant lighting to be able to allow people to skate at that facility in the evening.
Great. Deputy Mayor Quinn, anything further on your end?
No, Your Worship, thank you. Thank you, Director Walsh.
Very good, thank you. Councillor Ross Robinson, to you.
Thank you, Your Worship. To either Director Walsh or Manager Noel, I'm looking for some clarification. In this management report, it is to initiate the planning and design of a public skating trail. So is the intention to have this as a separate entity, entity from the outdoor recreation plan? Is this something completely different? You know, my concern, I suppose, is that we have a strategic plan and we have things lined up. I'm just wondering if this is going to be over and above.
I'll handle that. I envision it as being part of it. Our thoughts were that council really wants to explore this idea, and when we bring our consultant in to look at it, we will bring that to their attention. The idea would be if the report is available before budget, which we hope it is, it would be addressed there. If for some reason that report is not available by budget, we would bring an individualized report on a skating trail for council to start discussing.
Okay, thank you. I have no objection to planning and design of said skating trail. I just struggle with the being separate from our original plan. We went through the exercise of building our strategic plan, and we have it in the works for the coming year for the outdoor recreation plan. So I guess I just wanted on the record that I'm hesitant due to that, but I am supportive of exploring it.
Thanks, Councillor. Councillor Summers.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you, Director Walsh and management and staff for putting this together as quickly as they did. I'm satisfied with that for this year. Moving forward into next year, I guess from my perspective, one of the greatest locations for this would be at French Fork Cove, just because of the natural beauty that exists down there. And I guess my question's probably directed towards Manager Noel, because we've kicked this around a few times since I've been in here, and really the issue that always comes back to us is the liability factor. And I guess my question for Manager Noel is there some way that the city, if we were to entertain clearing the ice, obviously once we get to this time of year and the conditions are, able to do it and, not risk going through the ice, so to speak, is it feasible to somehow look at having people skate on that pond at French Fork Cove moving forward somehow?
I think if, it would not be unique for a community to have a public skating facility on some open water. It just creates some challenges with regular testing, regular ice depth measurements. All that would have to be done if we were going to do this more than the pond hockey window was. The biggest impediment to that location, frankly, was the entrance or the ability of people to get down and back from the ice surface to the upper levels. Every year it seemed to be a great challenge, and if that could be overcome and there was a walking way to get there, I believe French Fork Cove would include Middle Island, Waterford Green, and Memorial Park as potential sites for building one of these.
Yep, still to you, Councillor.
Thank you for that, Manager. I guess as a follow-up to that, I know we're working with, I want to say the Fat Bike Group, or I don't know if I'm phrasing that correctly, but the bikers and the walkers, a group that's working together to work on said trails. Like, is it not possible that could alleviate that problem, I guess is what I'm getting at, Mr. Manager, in terms of having a clear pathway to get down there and flood the ice? And I just think that would be a really great venue to have if we can pull it off somehow.
I believe the dedication or potential construction of part of a winter walking trail to the ice surface simply wasn't warranted by the short time period for the pond hockey tournament. But an initiative like you're talking about here, I believe would warrant that evaluation of constructing and maintaining trails this summer that would provide that access. So if you're going to look at this, yes, I think it's worthy of potentially the time and money investment to have that surface created once and for all, or that walking trail, simply because it's fully expected that at some point the pond hockey tournament would return, and that location has clearly been one that has been preferred by all participants and the local organizers alike. So yes, we would look to get a cost for you anyway, Councillor, as to what it would take to get a winter path down.
Still to you, yeah.
Sorry, this is the last one, I promise. Just last one, Mr. Manager. Regardless of where we go with this in terms of locations, is this something we really need to bring in a consultant to tell us how to do? Without being too snarky, I just feel like we could create some pond hockey or whatever, some ice surfaces without need to be told how to do it. Is that really necessary?
No, I don't believe it requires the hiring of a consultant. We could surely take advantage of the opinions and input of the consultant who will be doing your outdoor rec report, but I do not believe it warrants or it requires the hiring of a consultant. It seems to be, from looking at what did in Moncton, it's a matter of safety, pleasure experience, and common sense to create and maintain one of these.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. My apologies. I misunderstood there earlier, but that's a good answer. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Councillor. Councillor Arsenault.
Thanks, and I'll apologize in advance. I have a puppy, and he's having a fit currently, so every now and again you'll hear a really shrill bark. So so I'm really excited to see this happening around the Lord Beaverbrook, and I'm glad that we're looking at planning, you know, for next year already. I agree with Councillor Ross Robinson in that, you know, it would seem to me that this would absolutely be part of our outdoor rec strategy and our asset management and what we're looking at. So I guess I'd be a little surprised as she was that it would need to be a separate item going forward, because I think, you know, in my mind, the theory behind why we were going to have that outdoor rec strategy was to really look at everything that we have and everything that we can possibly do here. So, you know, it might just be semantics when it comes to where this is going to be placed, but I agree with Councillor Ross Robinson that it should be included in that going forward.
Thanks, Councillor Arsenault. Just to speak from the chair as well, and building on what I think both of you are suggesting, is that would be my expectation as well, and I think that's what the manager has confirmed with his remarks. Is, to me, I would interpret this motion as a motion of commitment or intent that this will be part of that process. I have no interest in a separate process, and I think to your point, Councillor Summers, it can be confusing when we just generally say consultant, but to remind the public, what we've committed to doing is a robust public consultation. So we're going to be asking the citizens of this community, each and every one of them, for their ideas and visions and wants for any and all outdoor recreation. That is the first part. And then what the consultant will do is compile what they heard from the community into a list of recommendations of actionable items for council. So I know on, you know, back more directly on this item, first I want to commend the staff. You know, it was sort of the expectation, my understanding was that tonight we'd be talking about would we be actioning the building of our rink for this year, and to come in and find out that that's already happening is commendable, and for a very little amount of money. And so the quick and dirty for this year, because, you know, we're already into February here, perfect, and a commitment that this will be looked at and dreamed up and included in an outdoor recreation strategy that hopefully, and we'll work with the manager on the timing. I know Director Walsh is to bring the RFP parameters very soon to council in the next week or two, and we always try to time these things and get them out the door now so we can consult over winter and spring and make sure we have that report back to inform budget in the fall, and that would be our expectation here too. So to the members of the community who have really rallied around this idea, there's been a lot of discussion and a lot of ideas I've seen on Facebook, people, or, you know, and in the chatter around town too. People have ideas and visions of where they might like to see it, what they might like to see around this. And so, as I did when I replied on social media, I'll encourage all citizens to submit their ideas to this consultation. So that's what it's about. If you've got a big idea for an outdoor skating oval or rink, or you've got a big idea for anything and everything else, you know, please participate in that public consultation. The plan will be stronger the more citizens that engage in the plan, and then the stronger the mandate of council is to action that plan. So we'll look forward to the whole community engaging in this, and to make sure that a vision for an outdoor skating rink or facility or oval is a big part of that process. So just wanted to articulate some thoughts on that, and we'll look forward to it in the longer term. And tonight, in the meantime, we could be skating by the weekend this year, so thank you for that. Councillor Johnston.
Thank you, Your Worship. First of all, it is an innovative idea, and it is a nice to have. I do echo the sentiments of some minor concern that we already had a defined outdoor recreation strategy, and this is indeed an add-on and a nice to have partway through the winter time. My initial concern wasn't so much with the idea in and of itself, was just the nature of the suggestion and being put in place in such hurried fashion. So I am pleased with the fact that, and I commend the staff and the director for coming up with not only a primary plan, but a contingency plan, and it would appear that based on expense and ease of installation, that the Lord Beaverbrook Arena, since it's already started, that is where the oval is going to be. So I do have a couple of questions, though, because I like quantitative data when it comes to money. When I get these reports, and that's perhaps just me, but The construction of an oval adjacent to the Lord Beaverbrook Arena is not as complicated or expensive, as low as $2,000. What would it be as high as?
I think the original estimate was believed with a plow or attached snowblower dedicated to the oval, and frankly, the idea that was proposed that we'd buy shovels. I think the director budgeted $500 originally for shovels for the public to use. We eliminated those two, and so the high end when originally done, Councillor, was about $5,000. So my belief is, depending on staff time, which is an indirect expense, the use of the Zamboni, what we're doing, I guess $1,500, $2,000 would be where I think it's going to end up, and most of that would be indirect. I wish to reinforce. It's not going out and spending money on top of. It is capturing the cost of the oval by using staff resources.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. That does provide clarification and insight into my question. The second question I have, anticipated staffing expenses would be minimal. What's minimal?
Minimal means not dedicating somebody to that place, and the staff that are working at the rink would be able to service the oval with limited exceptions. Okay, so we might have to, bring a temp in from time to time, but the current staffing we are hoping will cover the vast majority of the day-to-day maintenance of the oval.
So what I hear you saying is that the staffing expense would not be a funding pressure, but rather captured within the existing parameters of the budget for staffing at the rink, that being the Lord Beaverbrook.
That's correct.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. That does answer that question and provide me with some solace, because I don't like to spend money. Must be the Scottish in me. I don't know. The other thing that I will say with this is that, it is nice to have some things to do in the wintertime, and particularly during the pandemic. I think that it is nice for people. It does inspire people and give them some hope. And I also appreciate your worship's comments on soliciting folks' ideas. I think that gets people excited and motivated and gives them something to look forward to. So it would appear that the plan that has been developed rather quickly, and I give staff credit, appears to be viable. It appears to be fiscally responsible. So, no, I feel okay about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. And with no further lights, I just maybe want to re-ground us that the motion we're about to vote on is not in regard to the oval at the LBA. That's already out the door and happening, but on ensuring that we consider and plan, have options for an outdoor rink facility, outdoor skating oval in front of us for budget of next year. That's what the motion is. So with that, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.